afterwards for those that don't make it or those that have missed something and want to listen again. But a huge thanks to Charlotte this morning. And if you could all pop yourselves on mute and off your screens and use the chat box for any questions, which we'll sort of take at the end. Or if it's appropriate and Charlotte wants to bring it in, that's absolutely fine. But informal as always. And thanks again to everybody for your attendance, and over to Charlotte. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'd like to start just by saying thank you for having us and having this invitation. We've got 4 panelists today, and we're going to be discussing the future of events as it is at the minute. I'll do a quick intro to our panelists for you. We've got Julie France from Space Meetings and Events. Space Meetings and Events are an independent meetings and event agency who now specialise in virtual and hybrid events. The Space team are here to help you run your event virtually with no compromise or professionalism. We also have Nicola Davison, from Brewin. Nicola's been a PA for 15 years in the city, working in various industries and sectors. She's currently at Brewin and Dolphin, where she supports the head of technology. Hello, Nicola. And we've got Gail Tomlinson Short, who is the Business Development Manager at Warwick Conferences and the University of Warwick. Gail has nearly 30 years in meetings and events industry. 24 of these have been at Warwick. Long time, Gail. Warwick Conferences boosts a wide range of event spaces, accommodation from creative, innovative space in the kitchen, lounge and studio spaces to much larger conference halls, theatres and both student and hotel style bedrooms. Sorry, it's a bit early for me today. And lastly, we've got Maria Heinsen, who is the EA and co-founder and head of Sagittarius Agency Services. Marie started her career in account management and client services for a field marketing agency, where she got the taste for team training and team building events. She then went on to work as an operations manager for a small events company, producing conferences for NHS healthcare professions before joining Sagittarius in 2017. So thank you so much, guys, for coming on today. We're going to move straight on to our questions that I've got for you. What's next for events, basically? So our first question, I'm going to start with you, Jules. What's your company's policy currently on events, or what have you found from your clients at the minute?
I mean, we can still book meetings and events holding obviously up to 30 people as long as they follow the strict social distancing guidelines. I mean, I would say the majority, we're receiving new floor plans from venues with exact room layouts that match the client's needs to allow a safe event. We can provide COVID officers and COVID marshals to ensure that the event is run safely. Venues are being really flexible with cancellation terms for our clients. That's really, really helpful. We are working with a lot of venues who are SGS COVID compliant. SGS is the world's leading inspection, verification, testing and certification company. Not all hotels do use this, but during these times we would try and work with or pitch venues that have made those, obviously implemented and got, such, compliance in place, so that we can make sure that our clients do feel confident that their events can go ahead. The events must fall in line with the COVID guidelines, and having marshals and officers at live events that, are managed by us has proven to be, effective.
Fantastic. I mean, the same question to you, Nicola. What's your company's current policy on events? Are you running them, or?
At the moment, no. Okay. No, with any events that we've had booked this year, we've had to cancel. Events for next year, if they're in place, we're just reviewing based on government guidelines. We are able to meet clients face to face now if we wish, but it's very much a case of, if you're comfortable with travelling and meeting someone, then it's personal choice, but we're not forcing anybody to go back into the office or go to events or do client visits. If we can do it all remotely over Zoom, Skype, Teams or whatever, then that's the company preference for the minute.
Okay. I mean, it's kind of mixed, isn't it, at the moment with it all?
Yeah.
Marie, how about yourself?
Yeah, so
similar,
yeah, quite similar to Nicola, to be honest. Basically, at the end of March, we picked up our laptops, we went home, and we carried on from home. I was saying earlier that you know, we're used to working as a remote team. We've got overseas offices, 3 offices in the UK, so we have quite a lot in place for working remotely. And there's always been, certainly for our regular meetings, like our, you know, quarterly all in company breakfast meetings, there's always been a virtual element to those. In terms of policy at the moment, you know, we have very much stuck to remaining remote, keeping, you know, our team building events and team training and all of that virtual for now. Back in the summer, we looked at the possibility of getting our leadership team together for a day, and we made some inquiries, and it was kind of as everything was starting to open, but it couldn't happen because of the government guidance, and the hotels weren't ready, which was just a bit of a shame, to be honest. And we're really being guided by our team at the moment, and you know, the offices are open for people that want to use them, but there's no pressure. Client service team can go and meet people face to face, meet our clients face to face, and we've done that a couple of times, but only if both parties are comfortable with it. And you know, it's kind of really around the travel as much as anything else at the moment.
Yeah, thank you, Marie. Gail, from a venues point of view, events wise, what's your company's current policy? Can you do meetings?
So as yeah, in terms of us going to meetings, I think we are very cautious. So, you know, obviously we want to get the meetings industry up and running again, and we're clearly open, and we've got loads of COVID safe mitigation, you know, really safe environment available for people when they arrive at Warwick. But in terms of us attending events, it's a different story, isn't it? Because, you know, we want to make sure that if we're going to events, and we touched on this slightly earlier today, then, you know, it needs to be worthwhile. And, you know, really, we want to get back together. We want to meet people. That's the business we're in. But we need to do it in a safe way. And if it's not necessary and we can do it in a different way, of course, we will meet people in the virtual world. But in terms of welcoming people back in, there is an appetite for some events to come together. There's some critical events that need to happen. And, you know, we are all up and running and ready to welcome those events. And, you know, we've got everything in, we're running by 2 metre distancing. So we've got a really safe space. There's lots of sanitation. We ask people to wear face masks. We've got perspex screens. You know, but in a nice way. You know, it's all done tastefully, and hopefully you're not going to lose the Warwick feel when you come through the doors.
I'm sure. Oh, I think it's my headphones. Sorry about that. My headphones got a bit funny. So for the next question, Julie, do you foresee virtual being the new normal for now?
I mean, we all want live events to come back, don't we? But I mean, and like you say, the Zoom fatigue and the comments earlier about everyone's so tired of, you know, but we all do need to embrace the change, and we need to understand that virtual and hybrid is here to stay. And I think that's what we need to do. We need to get our heads around, you know, networking is one of the key aspects of conferences, but virtual can pose a huge limitation as attendees can't engage with one another like you do on a live event. You know, you guys will probably all know me from being sales director previously at CHS Group. So, you know, I was responsible for running one of the largest mice exhibitions in the UK. And, you know, it's had such a major effect on the industry. But hybrid and virtual will be here to stay. So it's just about, I think, really getting your head around the fact that we need to embrace the change.
I agree. It is very much like that at the moment. Sorry, I've got a phone now going off in the office. We're not doing very well today.
I mean, there's certainly less excitement compared to the grandeur of a live event, isn't there, around virtual? There really is. Yeah. You know, and it's like, you know, I suppose for a lot of live event organisers, you know, it's how do you monetize? You know, where do you monetize it as well? So there's lots of different things how virtual can be really negative for our industry, but it is something that we're going to have to get used to and embrace.
I think it's something for the near future at the moment that we're going to have to get on board with.
Certainly for the next 6 months, I think,
Yeah.
Charlotte. Yeah, judging by what they're saying on the press.
I know. Oh, I'm so sick of these announcements.
We could be out the other side in 6 months and we'll all be at the meeting show next June at Olympia having a whale of a time. That's the dream.
We can drink again. That's the dream. I like the sound of that. Marie, is it the same for you at the moment with virtual events currently?
Yeah, absolutely. I certainly see virtual events being part of our new normal. I hate that phrase, but and you know, really listening to kind of what's coming out in the last couple of days. You know, we're going to have to get used to living with this illness, this disease, and find ways to make it work. And, you know, we were kind of hoping we might be able to get our team together for our winter conference. We had a, you know, great winter conference last year, got our UK team together, broadcast it overseas. It was, you know, so we did that real hybrid, and this was pre-COVID anyway. And we were sort of hoping to do something similar, but this year we've basically just now taken the decision last week or so to make it 100% virtual. Our team is still really wary about travelling, and, you know, certainly travelling into London. And, you know, from a kind of selfish planning perspective, by making it virtual now, we know we can run with it being virtual. If Boris puts in his puts another lockdown in, or decides no one's allowed to do anything or travel, whatever, we know we'll be able to deliver that virtual event to our team, and so they'll still have something to look forward to, get excited about, and that kind of thing. But you know, it's about for us, it's not about monetizing it. But it is about getting that engagement, and how do you treat everyone? You know, we can't arrive at a venue and give everyone a nice glass of champagne. So trying to do that remotely when you've got sort of 65 people is a bit more challenging. Yeah. Can't send a waiter to everyone's house, unfortunately.
Oh, don't. I mean, Nicola, you know, you said about the events that you're not doing at the minute with your company policies, but you'll be doing virtual at the moment.
Everything's virtual at the moment.
Virtual.
Yeah. So, and you know, just to back up what Marie and Jules have said, with our company's the same. You know, with regards to being virtual, we're planning everything virtual because we know it will happen. If we plan face to face, it's just there's no guarantee it'll go ahead. So,
yeah,
it's
I think it's kind of our industry as well, and being event planners and organisers, we want that control back, and by having it virtual, we know we can control that situation now, whereas before we was relying on the government. I think we've just had enough of waiting for them now, so let's just do what we can do for now, I think. So sorry, Gail, coming on to you next. What do you believe you need to do to run a successful virtual event at the moment?
So I think the key thing is just, you know, initially to realise you can't run a hybrid or a virtual event as you would a face-to-face event. Absolutely doesn't translate. So I think that was one of the key things when we were starting to talk to our clients. You know, what are your plans? And, you know, we've got this hybrid and virtual offer we can support you with. It was really clear that they need to be planned differently. And I think, you know, even what we're doing now, in making sure that the audience is maybe muted, or, you know, turn the video off to try and distract, you know, reduce those distractions. But I think there's things like, you know, making sure you've got shorter, really impactful sessions to keep that engagement going. And try and involve the audience at certain points as well, whether it's on an online chat like we've got today, or maybe it's a poll, or you just try and mix it up. And, you know, some platforms have got virtual syndicate spaces that you can go off to, and you can have those face-to-face and virtual delegates in those. I think just trying to create a good experience, you know, an experience rather than this sort of two-dimensional. As we've talked about, you know, it's exhausting, isn't it, going on a virtual platform all the time. But, you know, try and mix it up, maybe use videos, and just keep it short and snappy, I think, and to keep everybody's attention. But every event is different, and you have to, I think, come on to this later, but you have to understand the reason for the event in the first place and try and work out how you can best make that impactful and memorable for the delegates, really.
Thank you, Gail. Sorry, these headphones, might have to take these off in a minute. Thank you, Gail. Julie, same to you, your clients.
Yeah, I think what we believe you need to do to run a successful virtual event is really start with what is it you're trying to accomplish. This is the most important step. Start by understanding your vision. How are you going to measure the success of your event? What problems are we solving for the attendees? When do you want to host the event? What types of content will you be sharing? What's your virtual event marketing plan? How are you planning to register and manage attendees for the experience? Having the right platform and streaming capabilities, engaging activities, a great MC is you know, you really need a great MC like Charlotte. We need to consider production quality, polling and gamification, speakers and entertainment, session length, session design, pre and post event engagement. There's hundreds of platforms out there, but some of the most popular ones include like Intrado, Hopin, Visibo. There's some that we can recommend, but there is no perfect platform. It's what works. You know, it's what works really. The popular ones are offering, you know, they offer free platform matchmaking and consultations to you as an event or virtual event organizer. So find out which ones are offering a consultation on what's the best fit for your business. But certainly key considerations is, what are you trying to accomplish? Virtual event or webinar must have a USP. Timelines can affect which platform you use. You know, fully immersive budgets, type of content you're sharing, email marketing built in, registration software built in. You know, all this stuff is key, especially if you're doing a large scale virtual event for hundreds of people. Is your CRM linked in with your registration software? How are you going to capture your data? You know, all that sort of stuff. You know, key roles for running a successful event. You need a virtual event manager, a design manager, comms, copywriting. Yeah. You know, the list's endless. It's not as easy as just, you know, we've realized from doing this that there's so many elements into running a successful virtual event. But, you know, attendee support, tech support, you know, you need a VE manager. There's so much. Virtual speakers. I mean, speakers are now getting coaching training to do their speaking virtually because they've got no live engagement from an audience and they're finding it really, really awkward. I hear you can get Michelle Obama for 50% discount at the minute. But certainly, you know, you need a really great host. You need an MC or a moderator. You've got to think about sponsorship, and there's so much to consider in running a successful event. But those key elements, you know, I know I've run through that really quickly, and if anyone wants me to share my thoughts on this afterwards, I'm happy to send something to Charlotte which she can forward on to people. And we're here to help, whether you're a buyer or a client or a venue. You know, if we can help you with, you know, what works for us and our clients in terms of the platforms. But certainly, you know, in terms of successful virtual events, the rich data needs to be, you know, you need to do the analytics. How long did your attendees stay? Which sessions did they attend? You need to run the numbers so that you can make sure that the next virtual event is even better than the last one. You know, it's, you know, commonly, you know, there are drop-offs around certain times. You're running a full day event. You know, looking at what ticket type people logged on for, or how many time, you know, they spend time at, you know, you have to spend time analysing data post-event, because it's pre and post-event engagement, you know, virtual goodie bags, loads of stuff. There's so much out there that can really help you in making a really engaging virtual event.
Definitely. I mean, Jules, a couple of people in the chat have said, please do share. They'd love the information. I am going to quickly switch to one of the questions now, because it is relevant to what we've just been discussing. Anna's just put, what's your preferred virtual platform? Do you have one specifically that you prefer to use?
We we sometimes guided by our clients in terms of, you know, what they've got through their procurement and how we can work with them. But we have had really good success with hop-in. So I hope that helps.
Lovely.
But I can certainly give the most popular platforms and share this info with you, Charlotte. No
Yeah,
problem.
definitely. I think it'd be good, and we can send it out to the group. Absolutely. So I'm just going to quickly check these questions, just see if there's anything else. Kat's put, do you find conferences now run full day, or do people prefer condensed sessions? And what's in a virtual goodie bag? I mean, I found actually that one day is better as opposed to the two.
For sure.
Yeah, and spread it out. And actually, we do gaps between the time, and then we give them a lunch break. I think one of our sessions, our virtual sessions as well, had a break to pick up the kids from school because it was in lockdown and they had to go get the kids. So, yeah.
Those key workers whose kids were still, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Sorry, Gail, what was you gonna say something?
Sorry. No, I was just agreeing.
Yeah.
It just can't. You need to have those breaks, because we've all talked about it, but you know, fatigue of being in front of the screen constantly, it's just not natural, and you're not going to get the best experience, and it's certainly not going to be memorable. Well, it may be memorable for all the wrong reasons. So, you know, if you want people to have a positive experience and take away their learnings, you need to make it engaging. You need to make it short and snappy, and you know, those takeaways, just don't overload it, you know, and give delegates opportunity to connect with each other as much as possible.
Yeah,
just my thoughts, just from being on the receiving end, really, you know. And hop-in, I agreed. I've had good experience with that too.
Yeah, I think a couple of people have mentioned hop-in, even on the chat as well here. Just quickly from everyone, what would you put in a virtual goodie bag? Marie, what would you put in a virtual goodie bag if you had one? Or what would you like to see?
Yeah, I think in terms of goodie bags, it's, you know, it's those discount codes, it's the, you know, sign up here for a freebie, or you know, some of it might be around connections and building contacts and that kind of thing. And I think the real, just coming slightly off track, I think it's about getting those interactions with people. It's having a really energetic chat, like I can see, you know, happening here today, which is brilliant. And I think it's those things that make it a really exciting and engaging event for people. I think you kind of have to come away from that traditional speaker for 20 minutes, half an hour, delivering their piece with, you know, PowerPoint slides or whatever. It's got to be more kind of TV and broadcast like. For people to really, you know, engage with it and want to stay and listen. And the other thing I have to say I'm loving about virtual events is the recordings afterwards, because there's so many events out there at the moment that you can think, oh yeah, I really want to listen to that, but it doesn't fit with your day or it doesn't fit in with meetings. So being able to, you know, pick it up later, I think is a real bonus of virtual events that you haven't had before. But to kind of go back to goodie bags, it's kind of generating those freebies and, you know, the incentives to contact suppliers, that I think is kind of where you get the interest from.
You do things like offers, like 10% off or something along those lines. We recommend that they'd probably be best.
Yeah, I think you know, discount codes, that sort of thing. Whether it's, you know, Amazon voucher is another one that has come out for me before. You know, sign up here in Amazon voucher. So yeah, that sort of thing.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you, Marie. We'll come to the next question. I think you kind of touched on this one anyway, just then, what we were seeing in terms of advantages. But what I'll say, Nicola, what are you seeing in terms of advantages at the moment for running a virtual event for your teams?
Running virtual events, definitely at the moment, because of the COVID situation, we're guaranteed to get everybody in attendance. And it's actually quite nice. We find people collaborate more virtually than they would if they were stuck in a room. It's, you know, if you sat there watching a screen for 4 hours, it's not very entertaining. Whereas if you've got breakout sessions between that time, people are collaborating more. The recordings, again, great for those who can't attend or who weren't invited. We're sharing a lot more information across the company now, because we've got the ability to do it, because we're doing the virtual meetings. Also as well, sustainability is really high on our agenda. So with people not travelling, we're reducing our carbon footprint, which is amazing. Also, there's a monetary benefit as well. We're not paying out for the travel, the hotels. So there are a lot of benefits for us going virtual.
Interesting. I mean, it's the same as we were saying about the virtual. I think Jules touched on it actually, about the post-event virtual stuff is so much more important now. And even it is time consuming, these virtual events. It's not just, oh, quick, let's just do a quick Zoom call and that's it. It's all the marketing lead up, the post-event stuff, everything. So yeah, I think that is important.
And also for attendees as well, it doesn't impact so much on their home life. If they've got to travel, catch a flight to wherever it is they need to be, they're not, they're in front of their laptop for 8 hours instead of a 2-day away from home. So there's the well-being side of it as well. It doesn't work for everybody. We've got a lot of people in the office who are desperate to get back out and join events and get back into the office. So different strokes for different folks. But yeah, we do see a lot of positives coming out of it.
One positive I've found from some of my clients, if I just jump in.
No, go for it. It's fine.
You can actually bring speakers in that you wouldn't ordinarily be able to afford because the travel costs are negated. So, you are, like you say, with sustainability is really important to a lot of large organisations, well, all organisations, but it's actually because you haven't got those travel costs, like Nicola just said. You've got more budget to spend on a really key speaker that can make that virtual event be really engaging.
Yeah, it's true. It's all true. I mean, there's benefits, there's pluses, there's negatives. Sorry, Marie, did you want to?
I was just going to completely agree with Nicola. Yeah. I mean, the time is probably one of the biggest savings, and travel around carbon footprints and the number of days you're out of the business for, all of those things. And the other thing, we've been invited to a virtual event in a couple of weeks' time, and we're actually looking at sending more of our team than we would have done. It's an event that usually takes place in the US. It's for a week, so it's like, those people out, all the flights, the accommodation and everything else. We actually take that out of the budget. We can afford to send more people to that event so they can benefit from the sessions, the learning and networking sessions that are happening alongside, which is real benefit. And selfishly, I love the fact that I don't have to be 2 hours into London and out again. I can be home for tea. Which is brilliant.
Oh, bless you. I mean, whilst we're on this question, we've got a couple in the chat box, and because it's relevant, again, I'm going to bring them up now. Kat's put actually that they are, the UEA have high sustainability agenda as well, which is fantastic. But she's also mentioned that for confidential meetings, does anyone have any tips on the privatisation of URLs, etc., so they can't be shared? They've had their Literature Festival, as their ticketed events could be shared. Has anyone got any insight on that at all on the panel? I mean, that's a new one for me as well. I wouldn't know.
That's a new one for me.
So with some tools, you can actually specify who is allowed to join the meeting. So they have to, only those people that you have invited that are signed in. Zoom has loads of capacity for regulating who can and can't be in that meeting. And by having things like the waiting rooms, you can basically check that people are registered and kind of log them in that way. So that is something we've used on a couple of occasions.
You can also perhaps build in the delegate registration form. You can maybe have a unique member number that you can use so that they can't even be sent that information. So I think as long as delegates think they've got a unique login, then they're not going to be passing it around anyway. But I think our event production team have been looking into this quite seriously. And I don't have the answers, but I'd be happy to find out some feedback if anybody needs it.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Gail. I hope that helps, Kat, for you. Yeah, there we go. Kat's put just in the chat box now. She'd love to hear more. That's brilliant. Ros, I'm just going to go to Rosie's question quickly as well. She's put, are hybrid and virtual events more expensive? And does anyone have a package set up already? I mean, has anyone done a virtual or hybrid event set up so far? Have you got any packages set?
So we are supporting our clients with hybrid and virtual options. And obviously, you know, if you're having a full virtual event, it's much cheaper to run because you haven't got the expense of the venue and the catering and what have you. So, and I think, so in that way, yes, it's really economical. If you're looking to do a hybrid event, that's a bit more complicated because you've got some live delegates, obviously, and you need to create the same experience. And then that kicks up questions in itself about, you know, what's the value of the event? Because, you know, you've got a price tag attached to a physical event, and, you know, should that be the same for virtual? Obviously not, you're going to have some elements that aren't relevant, but yeah, I think on the whole, it is relatively cheap. It depends what you're going to do. I mean, obviously, if you're going to have a, you know, really expensive, fabulous Michelle Obama style speaker, then it's going to be quite pricey. But yeah, you can make it an engaging event on a relatively, you know, small budget.
Fantastic. No, thank you, Gail. Thank you for that. So we'll carry on. Oh, sorry, hang on a sec. We've got one more quickly. Mandy's put the team studios, Imago venues, and you also have packages and they can help. So maybe Ros and Mandy can catch up sort of after this. Would be great. Okay, so pressing on. We've talked a little bit about virtual now. The big question is, what do we think is missing from our live events versus virtual? Everyone's going to say alcohol. I know they are. I'll go to you, Gail, first because you're still here. What do you think?
For me, it's simple. It's the energy in the room. I mean, you know, I'm a people person. That's why I'm in the business I'm in. You know, we're human. We love being with humans. We're social beings, and we need to interact face to face. You know, and it's completely impaired when we're doing this. And so yeah, it's just that basic energy in the room, the body language. We've talked about this before, haven't we? You know, I went through this whole period of time where I had huge fatigue of these meetings online because I'm desperately looking for all the emotional intelligence I can get from somebody's reactions, and I can't see it, so I'm just searching all the time. It's exhausting. So I'm missing the body language. I'm missing those corridor conversations, the chat over a coffee or a gin. You know, it's all that debating that happens outside of the room, and what we love about being with people. It's just energy and gives you an uplift and that really lovely, positive, warm feeling you get when you come away from spending time with people. Easy for me.
I agree.
I completely agree with that. It's so true.
What do you think, Marie? Is there anything else you would add to that at all?
It's people. It's all those little conversations that you have. You know, you bump into someone over coffee, or have a random conversation that generates a whole, you know, raft of ideas, and the energy around and meeting people that you wouldn't necessarily reach out to just because you're wearing the same trainers or whatever it happens to be, but you just connect over those little things which you lose. I think having video cameras on makes such a difference because when we first went into lockdown, there were so many people with the cameras off, and that just made it so difficult. And that being able to see everyone on screen, I think is really positive when you're having those conversations. So it definitely makes it a bit easier. But it's got to be the people and alcohol and the cakes and all the freebies.
Oh, don't. I mean, Nicola, is there anything else that you wanted to add?
No, I think I just got to echo what you girls have said. You know, it's that, you know, definitely you get a better vibe from the room if you're in it. It's not the same being virtual, is it? You don't get as energized. It's, you know, it's fun, it's entertaining, but it's and like you say, sometimes it's really hard to read body language and keep people engaged. So yeah, it's a learning curve.
Thank you, Nicola. I mean, a couple of people in the chat actually have put, Tia's put, she took part in a great engaging networking horse racing virtual event, but it's true, nothing can be better than face-to-face though. I think we all agree with that. And Kat's mentioned you could send a drink to your guests and have a ching-ching online. We're doing that for the next one actually. Friend done it for her birthday, worked really well. I think there's a few gifting companies actually that do packages that send them out. There's quite a lot of that. I mean, I think it's Rachel, we've also got one here which says, anyone had a positive experience of a networking event online? Now, I've only been to one, and I actually thought it was pretty good. That was with the Delegate Wranglers, and that was really interactive, and I had a good laugh. I was having a good dance actually with a drink on that one. So I think, Jules, you was there, wasn't you?
Yeah, that was brilliant. I actually really enjoyed that. The MC, the compere, brilliant. And yeah, we were all having a bit of a dance and a drink by the end of it, I think. But so that was actually my favourite one.
Yeah, I did. I really enjoyed that one. He's done a good event actually there. Really good networking event. I mean, has anyone else had any experience at all with any evening networking events at all virtually?
I've not had an evening network event, but I was sharing with you earlier the really unusual networking roulette that I was part of with a particular event where normally you would meet over a cup of coffee, wouldn't you, in the lounge area, and this was just an opportunity to network. So you'd agree to network, press the button, and then the next person would come into this blank space. So there's just the two of you, and you've got a timer of 3 minutes to decide whether it's worth continuing the conversation. It was both scary and exharating at the same time, but memorable, very memorable.
Yeah, I did one a couple of weeks ago, which was a PA networking event, and it was just really full of energy. They had some great speakers on the panel, some really, really good, relevant discussions. It was fast paced, it was moving loads. The chat was, constantly on the go. And what was really lovely on that one was everyone was encouraged to share their LinkedIn profiles to kind of build their network. So actually, there was lots of chat around that, and then it kind of carried on LinkedIn afterwards, which was, for me, that was really positive.
That's a great idea, especially with being able to see people beforehand. That's a really good one. I mean, Lisa's we'll just quickly go to this chat where Lisa's put, go to events for offering virtual Christmas parties. Alison, I'm going to come back to your question because we're going to touch on live events now. And then Lisa's also put the virtual wine tasting evening for our 40th during lockdown was really good. So I will come back to you, Alison, on your question in the chat box. But just before we do that, I'm going to come to Julie first. What have you learned so far from reopening to live events, or have you reopened to any live events at the moment?
I mean, I haven't. Since the lockdown, we've been booking mostly accommodation, virtual events, helping people with the virtual platforms and event managing that side of it for our clients, and giving them a lot of advice and what have you. When I said we can still book meetings, like Nicola said, most of our clients have put a complete zero, nothing till 2021. But I think that it's really, really difficult for our industry because meetings, learning, seeing, experiencing, they're all crucial to our industry and our understanding of new technologies, way to do business. It's been a really difficult transition time for most of us in this industry. And, virtual meetings have a huge part to play now, but so do live events. So I think when the dust settles on the COVID health crisis, there's going to be an unquenchable thirst for live events. No reference to alcohol there, Charlotte. But in terms of what have we learned from reopening to live events? We kind of haven't reopened to live events as yet because we're all gearing up to it, and then the government, the guidelines change, and I think the frustration for our industry, and our industry's been hit really hard. It's a tough one, but like I say, we'll all be dying to get back out there once we can reopen to live events properly.
No, I agree. Gail, have you opened at all for any live events? You have? Fantastic.
So we're open
so far.
Yeah, we're open, and I think the biggest thing is is reassurance. People want reassurance. There is an appetite to hold events, and of course, confidence keeps going up and down. So reassurance that we can look after people when they come through the doors is, I think, most important. I think you've got to set the tone on arrival. So I think we debated long and hard about how do we manage people in this situation, because everybody's got their own agenda, everybody behaves really differently, we know that. So we have to set the tone right at the beginning, and make sure everybody understands how we need them to behave in the spaces. So once we've got that over, you know, we just then have to work out how we manage groups together. So, you know, we're open for multiple groups of 30. How are we going to manage those events in the same building? And so there's a lot of work that goes into organising and understanding and planning effectively both a client's event, but that client event and how it's going to impact on other events in the building. You know, we've had these debates over how hard it is to communicate when you've got a face mask on. We've discussed that again today. You know, so if you've got a training event, we're asking them to wear face coverings in the corridors and encouraging them to perhaps wear them in the training rooms. But really, is that the most effective way to train? You know, not at all. For all of the reasons that we've said before, that you can't hear properly, you don't get the full feeling, the message isn't coming over effectively enough. So, you know, just working out what the different solution and mitigation is right for that particular event. You know, we don't want to come across strict, we want to keep people safe. So it's getting the balance right, isn't it? And trying to allow people to have the Warwick experience. You know, they came to us and they're our clients for a reason. They love coming to us, they love the experience they're going to get. So it's getting the balance between, you know, not looking like A&E, but having all the signs and the sanitation and the directions and the one-way flow, but also being able to relax and enjoy the space and enjoy the event that they're in. So that's kind of what we've learned, and we're continuing to learn. You know, we held our first outdoor event. We've got some outdoor spaces, and we had our first truly outdoor event last week, and they were sitting and
Gail, sorry to interrupt you, but how many numbers could you have for an outdoor event? Because it's higher, isn't it, than 30?
Well, our little spaces aren't that big, so this group were only 8. So I don't really know the details of how many more you can have. I thought it was a maximum of 30 personally, but our spaces aren't that big. And I think these were designed really for an opportunity to take a small group outside. So your main event would be indoors, and then you've got an option to go and have some fresh air, which we know is a better environment to meet in. But this particular group chose to meet under the trees, in deck chairs. And, you know, they had a great experience, and memorable again, because it's a different environment and the conversations are different because of it. But yeah, we continue to learn, but I think it's all about, you know, keeping people reassured and safe.
Amazing, thank you. So Alison has asked in the group, in the chat, are people finding inquiries for face-to-face events in 2022 coming in? They've had a few, the assumption being that we have COVID under control by then. I mean, from our company's point of view, we were actually looking at face-to-face in 2021. I mean, we wanted 2020. I'm not going to lie. It's only because of this new rule of 6. We tried everything. We was even going to have our meetings, our face-to-face event meetings in the bedrooms. We was going to put the suppliers in the bedrooms and have the delegates go around, but you can't mix 30 and 30. So it just wasn't possible to do. So yeah, I mean, I'm hoping 2021. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Gail, have you got any bookings so far for 2020?
Yeah. I mean, we've got 2022, which isn't unusual for us. We've got lots for 21, a number moving from this year into 21, where they think that perhaps it's more likely to take place. But we're still getting brand new inquiries for, well, I've had a brand new inquiry for 2 weeks' time. The event's got to happen. So, you know, there's a real mixed bag there. And it's because they're different type of events, and people, either they've got to happen, or it doesn't really need to happen and it's too large, so let's put it in, you know, kick it into the long grass, let's plan for later next year. So yeah, we've got a wide spectrum of lead times.
I mean, Jules, have you got the same sort of thing?
I mean, we're you know, we're all ready for 2021. We've got inquiries, we've got things booked and people aren't cancelling them yet. Say yet, but you know, I think that we've been told 6 months down the line, COVID is going to be under control, and I think, you know, a lot of our companies did take the stance that, you know, no off-sites for the rest of the year, but 2021 there's still plenty of bookings. So that's, you know, for me, the thought of waiting until 2022, you know, doesn't bear thinking about, really.
No, I don't want 2022 either.
I don't want, no. Let's hope we can get back to, you know, back to live soon.
I mean, Nicola, from a PA sort of point of view, and Marie as well, I'll ask you guys this as well. When do you think, I know it's quite a hard question to ask, but when do you think possibly you would return to live? Like, would it be next year? Would it be 2022? I mean, do you even know the answer to that yet? So,
I mean, from our side, realistically, I couldn't give a definite answer, but we would we would probably be looking at next year.
Okay.
I don't think we'd be going as far away as 2022. Yeah, 21 would be our goal, really.
Yeah, I think from our perspective as well, you know, we've basically set our team working from home till the end of the year. We said no change there. It'll get reviewed for 2021. There's a tiny part of me that hopes we might be able to do our senior leadership team and take them off site for their meeting, which is a group of about 10 people. That would be in around about December time, if not, is it December? Yeah, December, January time. So that would kind of, I think, probably be the first one that we sort of start to feel a little bit more confident about. And, you know, things change all the time. So we'll be one of those like 2 week away bookings that comes in. Have you got anything for 2 weeks time?
Oh, bless you. I think it is kind of how it is. It's like, if we can do it, let's do it. Absolutely. Mandy's agreed as well on the chat as well. There's a mixed bag of inquiries from venues of excellence currently. Short term confirming now for essential training courses. Most businesses of over 30 have moved to 2021 though, but not further at this point. So good. So I'm going to come to the last question now, and then I don't know if I think I've caught all the questions, but I might have missed some. So we'll go back over and have a quick look at the chat box. But lastly, I'm going to go around all of the panelists now and just say, how do you advise to entice people back into live events? And Marie, let's start with you.
I think it's adding that wow factor. It's making it an unmissable event and making people really want to be there on the ground. What is going to give them something that makes it worth traveling for, giving up a day, 2 days, 3 days, whatever it happens to be, you know, for travel, for accommodation, paying that extra and extra effort, extra time, and all those things that you need when you go to a live event that makes it just really, really worthwhile, unmissable and attractive. And I think also, you know, it's creating the FOMO, isn't it? Absolutely. You don't want to miss out. But also, you know, I think Jules touched on it earlier and Gail did as well. You know, it's the COVID safety as well. People want to know that when they go, A, they're going to feel comfortable, but B, they're going to be safe. And what measures are in place to keep people safe. And certainly from a booking an event, if I'm going to take my team, I want to know what the venue's got in place before I book that. So that for me is important. I think the other thing is that smaller events are likely to come back sooner. You know, we're kind of quite comfortable being in a group of 6 or a group of 4 people face to face, but you know, a group of 50, 100, 1,000 people in a room, you know, at the moment, I can't imagine myself going to Olympia or XL for a massive event, but going to a hotel or one of the conference venues and having a small, slightly more intimate event, socially distanced, it feels a lot more comfortable and that sort of thing. And I think we're possibly also going to see more local events where people can travel independently and not need to use public transport, not have to, you know, use, as our team particularly are really anti the underground at the moment. They're just starting to embrace the trains and the buses, but yeah, really anti underground. So those sort of things, you know, I think location again is going to be really important. But yeah,
thank you. No, brilliant. Thank you. There's lots there to consider. Gail, from a venue's point of view, how would you entice people back coming live?
I think it's effective communication, really, and I think we're finding that video is really helping. So we've done little videos. We did a We're Open video, which was nothing to do with COVID safe. It was just smiley faces and just trying to get the vibe of come back to Warwick for those of you who know us, and just giving some images and reminding people of the space. But also then creating personal videos, so just sort of a little walkthrough. So if you've not been to Warwick for a while, then we'll take you on a little journey of what it looks like, to just try and put people at ease so that they can see what's in place, but they also can see, as I've mentioned before, it's still Warwick. We're still kind of the same, and we're trying to create the same vibe for you when you come. But yeah, it's supporting clients, because it's unknown, this new world. There might be an appetite to run an event, but they're also really cautious, and they want to do the right thing. So it's making sure that you're completely up with all the guidance, that you're not reaching anything that we shouldn't be doing, but encouraging them to create a worthwhile event, and helping them with that new meeting design, understanding, but Jules mentioned this earlier, understanding what the reason of the event is, and getting under the skin of that, and how can we come up with really effective solutions that are going to support. We've got inquiries coming through, and we all know we can't hold an event more than 30, and people are saying, well, I've got 34 people. Okay, we can't have 34 people. So it's looking for, how can we do this? If it's a 2-day event, or it's a day event, can we turn it into a 2-day event? Can we break you over 2 buildings? All sorts of things, to see how we can try and get, we need the business, let's face it. We need people to come back through the door. So we're going to try as much as possible to create, a good solution. But, since we've had events, now we can start using those testimonials. So there's nothing better than having somebody share their experiences, and people buy from people, and they very well me saying, come, it's going to be great. But if somebody else is saying that on my behalf, it's even better. So I think there's a whole combination there, but it's effective communication, whether it be video or testimonial, just supporting people. But we just need you back through the door, please.
Same question, to Nicola. Nicola, what would you advise to entice people back? What would get you back to an event? I
think the same as what everyone else has said. Make it worthwhile, make it an event that you wouldn't want to miss. I think it's going to take a long time for people to get back into the swing of being out and about, mixing with people, going on public transport. So yeah, make it relevant, make it fun, make it safe, and have clear agendas, and just be a bit more organised, I suppose.
Okay.
On the safety front, I think people are going to be very cautious. I think another thing, it's just make it so that people don't want to miss it. Is the event worth leaving the house for? I think we're going to have a lot of recluses by the end of this COVID situation. It's going to be weird getting back out there and doing things. It's as a company, I think we will probably go for smaller, local, more intimate events. I don't think we'll go back full on big bang until a lot further down the line.
I agree, Kat. A nation of agrophobes. Kat's put in the What's going to happen?
I think we will.
When I speak to other event organisers, PAs and things, and it's very 50-50 still. And 50% of them I need to get back out there. I want to go. I want to be face to face. And the others are like, I'm just not ready yet. And there's no
we've got a kind of flip side, because we've just opened our London office purely for those who want to go back. We've got restrictions in place. It's reduced seating. Our office holds nearly 800 people. There's on average about 18 people going in a day. We haven't had huge amounts of people going back, but there's that disappointment when they get into the office. They're expecting to see people and have that same office banter. It's just not there. So the numbers are going down every day, because they're going back to something that they don't want to go back to. They'd rather sit at home and speak to someone over Skype or Teams, because they're still not getting that interaction in the office. So I think it's good, people saying it's nice to have a purpose to leave the house. But once that, and an event's going to be the same, is it still going to be the sort of same situation?
Yeah.
Going back to events, is it going to be the same experience?
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. Jules, just quickly, if you've got anything else to add, because I'm really conscious of time.
Nicola
go
said.
for it. Yeah.
I think the way we interact with each other, not just in the event industry, but society as a whole, will no doubt have changed forever. And that's not necessarily in a negative way. Being more aware of people's personal space, respecting boundaries, generally being kinder and more considerate to one another can be no bad thing. We're more aware of our surroundings, health, personal well-being, which can only be an advantage, especially to our industry. One of the biggest effects on the events industry is well-being. But, it can be an advantage to us all the way we move forward. So I think that things will have changed, and we will change our behaviours for the foreseeable. But giving attendees the confidence to come back through pre-event comms, pre-arrival safety packs, branded face coverings, sanitisers, COFD guidelines, like I say, all about the social distancing, COVID officers, marshals, they'll all play an essential part in any live event now. So it is like the rest of the team and the rest of the panel here today, it's about giving the confidence to ensure that the right framework's in place.
Thank you so much. I'm very conscious on time. I think I've got all the questions though as we went along. Rachel, have I missed anything? Sorry.
Not as far as I can see. I think we caught everybody's. I think there's the chat will go out with the recording as well. So if anybody wants to get in contact with anybody, either come through me to go to Charlotte. But just whizzing through, I think we've caught everything. I mean, so much content in there. And probably could have sat here all day. And I think there'll be more to come as we go through the next sort of period, and whatever we get told is on the agenda this evening. But huge thanks to our panelists today for giving up your time. I've learned a lot. And I think there's been some great comments in the chat as well, and recommendations for support, because I think one of the things I've learned is that there's a lot of support out there. You may have to go and look for it, but nobody's on their own in this industry, and the more we reach out and help each other in terms of if it's just where do I start with hybrid events, or how do you keep people interested, it is there. So let's help and keep supporting each other. But Charlotte, massive thanks to you for putting this together today, and I hope we can do it again soon. And thank you to our wonderful people who have been on the session and contributed, and our panellists, Nicola, Julie, Gail, Marie. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Thanks for having
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.